We'll just start. We're going to get to some questions real quick, but just your thoughts. Tell us about your thoughts on the upcoming season, then we'll go to some questions.
I think it's going to be a very different season. It's going to be important that we all stay as even-keeled as we can and focused on what we can control, and just being ready to adapt, because there's going to be some things that we've all done a lot of planning, but there's going to be some things that come up that have been unplanned, that have been unseen, and we're just going to have to be ready to adapt. But I think that the big thing is making sure that we're being focused on players and staff. Health and safety are the most important things, and this is a year it's going to be very different from a competitive standpoint. May have teams play more games than others, or more opponents than others did, or whatever that may be. But I think this is a year that's going to make you really appreciate what you get to do, and that's getting to coach and play basketball.
All right, we'll go to some questions. Chuck Moraz, you're up first.
Preston, has practice been rough on you? Am I noticing some flecks of gray in that hair now?
Yes, yeah, there are some grays in there. Those have been coming for a while now, but no, practice has been great. It really has. We've gotten so much practice time this year with the season getting pushed back 2 weeks. The NCAA added 8 hours on the court for us for 3 weeks there, and so we've really been getting after it. I mean, our guys, we've been going full team practices for a while now. I think it's really important because the inconsistent and limited access that our players had throughout the quarantine. I think it's really important that you make up for that time and let them play. And so we're getting up and down. We're playing a lot of 5-on-5, doing a lot of scrimmaging, trying to simulate game situations, game atmospheres as much as we possibly can right now, just to supplement the time that maybe our guys didn't get together during the quarantine in summer.
Jack Kaiser, your question?
Hey, Coach. James may have hinted at this earlier when he was talking about defense, but from what you've seen, what's the identity of this team?
Well, it's going to need to be defensively. It really is. I think that looking at our team this year, we really upgraded in our size. We've got great length across the board. We're going to have more depth than what we've had, which will be an important factor this season due to COVID. But we spend a lot of time defensively, and that's going to be our identity. I think we do have great size and length and athleticism, and we want to get out and we want to run. The best way to do that is getting stops and then making sure that you're really sprinting that floor to get some easy baskets and playing in a broken defense. And so we spend a lot of time on it. I'm glad James mentioned that, because that means they know what's important to us as a staff and what our identity must become. We've got a ways to go to get there right now, but I really like where our team is and what we're going to be able to do on the defensive end this year.
Keith Farmer.
Before I ask my question, I'm curious. You had 2 transfers, is that right?
Oh man, we had 3. We had
okay.
3. Yeah.
Are they eligible immediately?
They are. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then I'm curious. Like, everybody knows how difficult it became all of a sudden to try and schedule non-conference. So how did it come about for you guys to be in the Bluegrass Showcase, and how do you prepare for an opener against a team that has 1 returner?
Sure. Yeah. Honestly, I'm just very fortunate that Coach gave us the call and asked us if our schedule would allow us to be a part of it. Obviously, any opportunity to play at Kentucky is exciting for anyone, especially for us being just down the road. For me personally, to play down there, and then to be in a safe environment that we felt like Kentucky was going to create with really kind of a college bubble in that first week was really important. And I know that the people down at the administration at Kentucky is going to do, they're going to do everything they can to protect those games and make sure that they happen. And so the fact that we could be a part of that was exciting for us, and to get our season kicked off. And then it's exciting too that, this is a year, Keith, you don't have any scrimmages. There are no exhibitions. So the first time that Coach's team down in Rupp Arena sees a different jersey, it's going to be when we walk on the court, and same thing for us. And so it's exciting as a coach, because you get so much practice time, and you get so many things that you get to, move around and kind of configure to get your team ready for that moment. But it's going to be exciting. I don't know that anyone in the country is really going to know exactly what they have with their team until you match up and you play against somebody else. And for us, what better way to do it than to go against the length and athleticism and talent that Cal's going to put on his roster this year, to see how we're matched up. It certainly made our practices more intense. Guys have had a great focus because they know that we have to be prepared and we have to have great days leading up to that matchup to open the season.
Harry, you have a question about the newcomers and the schedule? Go ahead.
Preston, good morning to you. I just would like to know about some of those transfer guys. What do you expect from them? And then also this whole scheduling business that you guys have had to go through. It makes this season wildly unique. Talk about that a little bit.
It does. Well, I'll hit on the transfers first, Harry. We had a transfer sitting out for us last year, Kevin Hunt Jr., who transferred in from McNeese State, that we're very excited about. At Christmas last year, the semester break, we had Skylar Potter, who transferred in from Wright State. He's a Kentucky native that we recruited out of high school. We also had another Kentucky native in Jalen Seabree, who transferred in the spring from Florida Atlantic. That we're excited about. And then we also had a guy sitting out for us last year who was a big part of our program in Davon Cooper. Davon started every game as a sophomore. Unfortunately, last season as a junior, he played sparingly in a couple games before his injury forced him to redshirt and miss the season. And so, on paper or, looking at our box scores, we don't have a ton of guys returning. But the good thing for us is we've got a lot of familiar faces that are on our roster that have been here with us for a number of months and have been practicing and really just upping our talent level, our experience, our size across the board. And so we're excited about the impact all those guys are going to make for us and sprinkling those in with our talented freshmen that we had last year in Tyjon Claude and Talon Cooper. And so we're excited about all those guys, especially that have transferred in for us and the experience that they're going to and the talent that they're going to add to our roster. Scheduling, I tell you, we sat here right now with our schedule being done and what a blessing that is. I know there's just so many moving parts throughout the country right now. So we've been very fortunate that, when the NCAA made the change, we had great relationships with everyone who was on our roster, on our schedule. And we were either able to keep the games, move them, move the dates and renegotiate some things there to accommodate both parties. Teams that were on our schedule that we didn't have room to play because we did get cut down to 27 games. We've got agreements to play those again next year. So we're excited that our schedule is done for this year, and it's probably pretty close to being done for next year as well, barring not having any unforeseen changes on there. But scheduling's been it's certainly been very different this year. There's a lot of talks about testing protocols, opponents that you're playing before and after a game. There's so many different obstacles with scheduling this year that you never had to think of before. And but we've really managed it well. Administration, my staff have done a phenomenal job of being mindful of all those things. Their communication has been at a high level to make sure that we've secured a good schedule.
Appreciate it, Preston. Thanks.
Yeah.
Everybody just join us. We're going to have Eastern Kentucky in just a sec. We ran a little technical issue. We're going to give Preston a couple more questions here, and then we'll go to EKU. So, Will, you have a question?
Yes. Of your returning players, has anybody made a big jump forward?
Yeah, we've had three guys that have made big jumps, and really they were our three freshmen that we had last season. Tyjon Claude and Talon Cooper are two guys that down the stretch in OVC play we really relied on last year. We changed the way that we played to accommodate those guys so that they could get some more minutes, get some more touches, and be more involved in our offense and what we were doing, and really to give them some experience and confidence moving forward. Julius Dixon was a freshman for us last year. He played sparingly. And I tell you, I'm super proud of Julius and what he's done this offseason. He's put on about 35 pounds. He absolutely lives in the gym, and he's really worked himself into a spot in our rotation this year. So I'm excited to see Julius get in there and add some length and add some shooting to our roster this year. And so those three freshmen that we had last year, those guys are sophomores. They've got experience. They've changed their bodies. With that, they've got more confidence in themselves from me and from their team. And so we're excited to see once we start playing games, the jump that those guys have actually made.
And Austin Miller.
Hey, Coach, the scheduling this year, 3 and 4 days, and then you have only 3 games in December. How does that set up for you guys as far as just preparing for teams in December, and then just overall for the year going forward, just getting set for that stretch down January, February?
Sure. Yeah, some of that'll change. I think what we have published on our schedule right now are the ones that we actually have contracts fully executed on, and so there's some other games out there that we're just waiting on the contracts to be executed on both ends, and those will fill in those gaps that you're seeing in our roster. But it's really exciting. I think it always offers up a challenge to play 3 games in 5 days, to play back-to-back nights or whatever that may be early on in the season. And I think the sooner that you can become accustomed to doing that and be comfortable adapting to do that, the better off you're going to be, because that's what postseason looks like, playing back-to-back nights. That's what conference play looks like when you're playing 2 games in 3 days. And so your preparation for that is going to be really important. And the sooner you get that figured out and get your team accustomed to it, the better off you're going to be, and set yourself up for success in OVC play. Looking at our schedule, we've gone to 20 OVC games as opposed to 18. So that's obviously different and exciting for our fans. We're going to play Eastern Kentucky twice before Christmas this year, which AW and I got to give AW credit. I think the World of him is doing a phenomenal job, but he and we worked our schedules simultaneously this year to accommodate one another and make sure that we work things around for both of our teams, and really just to make sure we took care of our kids and gave our fans a great opportunity. Typically, I think last year when AW and we played each other for the first time in, I believe, February, we had seen his team play 10 plus games and vice versa. Because we play, we're travel partners. So whoever we play on Thursday, we're flipping and watching one another. So we know each other really well by the time we play each other. It's why it's always such a great game when we go against one another. So now the fact that we're putting it at the beginning of the season, I know both of our teams, our kids are excited. He and I are excited to do it. Our fan bases should be excited as well. And so it's going to be very different, but it's going to be a lot of fun. Anytime Morehead and Eastern get together, it's always a great game. And the fact that you're going to get it back-to-back weeks in December this year is really cool.
To follow up on that, how does that kind of adjustment work? Is it almost like a game's a first half and the second game's the second half when it comes to how you coach these 2 back-to-back games?
Yeah, it's going to be different. We're going to have some. We're going to have a couple games that are going to be put in there that we haven't been able to put on our schedule publicly just yet. But yeah, it's going to be, it's going to be a quick turnaround, playing each other, 7 days apart from one another. But it's exciting. I think as a coach, it just presents a new challenge that you don't normally get every year. And then when you sprinkle in the fact that it is a rivalry game, we are close to one another. Our 2 teams are going to be really good this year. Then it makes it all that more exciting as we start to plan and we start to prepare for those 2 matchups.
Coach, we appreciate you taking the time to join us this morning, and best of luck to you and the Eagles this season.
All right. Thanks, guys.